When I think of airport safety, I usually picture uh, the TSA line or maybe the pilots in the cockpit. I rarely think about the actual pavement. But looking at the research on drone integration, it seems like the real battle for safety and efficiency is right on the ground.
Yeah, it really is. We're kind of moving away from the era of a crew in a truck just driving down a runway with a clipboard. The source material we're digging into today covers the use of drones for airport inspections.
Right. And the big takeaway isn't just that the tech is cool.
Exactly. It's that human inspection at the scale of a modern airport is becoming too slow and honestly too costly to rely on.
So we aren't just talking about fancy gadgets, we're talking about the bottom line here for these facilities.
Absolutely. I mean, think about the math. An airport is basically a small city, right? But one where a single loose bolt or a concrete crack can cause a massive catastrophe. The mission here is replacing slow, fallible, expensive human checks with precise data-driven scans.
Let's start with the tarmac then. The micro view. I hit potholes every day on my commute,
Yeah.
but on a runway, the tolerance for error has got to be basically zero.
Near zero, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just potholes, it's foreign object debris, FOD. Normally, you have crews visually scanning for this, which takes a lot of time and burns fuel.
Just drive it up and down the strips all day.
Right. But the research highlights how drones equipped with high-res cameras can spot surface distress like cracks, spalling, or debris in a fraction of the time.
So you get the runway back in service way faster. That has to save a ton of money since every minute of delay is thousands of dollars.
Huge savings, plus you get a digital paper trail. A human says it looked okay, but a drone gives you a geotagged high-diff image to compare with the last scan. You're measuring deterioration, you're not guessing.
Okay, that handles the ground. What about the vertical stuff? Hangars, terminals, those massive control towers.
That is where the argument really pivots from just cost effectiveness to human safety. The source details remote and hazardous area inspection.
Which means not forcing a maintenance worker to climb a 200-foot tower in high winds.
Or crawl under a bridge structure. Why put a human in a harness on a slick roof if you don't have to? Drones just hover and zoom in on structural corrosion or leaks. You eliminate the liability and the physical risk of the inspection itself.
That seems like an absolute no-brainer for facility managers.
Mm.
But zooming out the research also mentions a macro view regarding security. Are we talking about flying security guards?
In a way, but much more efficient. Think about perimeter security. Airports have miles and miles of fencing. Patrol cars have blind spots
And
and...
takes forever to do a full loop.
Exactly. A drone can fly the fence line autonomously spotting breaches or even gaps in the fence that a person might miss from the ground.
And then there is the biological factor. Wildlife.
The absolute bane of aviation.
I was really surprised to see thermal cameras mentioned for this. It feels like military tech.
It makes perfect sense, though, if you think about it. Birds and ground animals don't always stand out visually against grass or pavement, but thermally. They light up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
The source explains that using thermal imaging lets airports monitor wildlife activity like bird flocks near flight paths before they actually become a strike hazard.
So being proactive instead of reactive.
Everything in this report is about proactive data gathering, even obstruction inspection. It's not just checking if a tree is too tall, it's measuring the exact height of new construction or vegetation so it doesn't block navigation signals.
Speaking of proactive, I got really stuck on the section about simulations or emergency response preparation. It sounded less like maintenance and more like a video game.
It's digital twinning, essentially. They use drones to simulate disaster scenarios. Say a plane goes off the runway. Do we have the right sight lines?
Is the firefighting equipment in the right spot?
Right. They run the dress rehearsal from the air to spot bottlenecks in evacuation routes without actually shutting down operations.
That is incredible. And I guess they check the environment while they're up there, too.
Multitasking is key. They monitor water runoff, check air quality sensors, and inspect airfield markings. If the runway paint is fading, the drone's sensors catch the lack of reflectivity before a pilot ever complains about visibility.
There has to be a catch, though. You can't just casually fly a drone into the path of an incoming 747.
Definitely not. And the source is rigorous about this. It is absolutely not a free-for-all. There is strict collaboration required with air traffic control.
They basically treat them like real planes.
Exactly. They have flight plans and strict protocols. You cannot mix these two worlds without incredibly tight regulation.
So looking at the whole trajectory, here we are essentially building a massive library of visual data.
That's the ultimate value proposition. It is not just about the flight today, it's about the visual record over time.
Which brings up a really fascinating thought for you to mull over as we wrap up. If an airport has 5 or 10 years of this high-res drone data, they aren't just fixing things anymore. They're watching the actual rate of decay. It changes safety from fix it when it breaks to fix it because we know it will break next Tuesday.
Predictive maintenance at a massive scale.
And that might just be the safest and the cheapest way to fly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.